gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so, so you can sign off on the towers where they'll piss on your home. And if you feel like you're just powerless to answer them no, it's 'cause you are. They'll gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so, so you can sign off on the towers where they'll piss on your home. And if you feel like you're just powerless to answer them no, it's 'cause you are. It's 'cause you are. They'll gladly stagnate a living wage, snap the chains and bury it. Labor slaves in rusty cages dragged behind a chariot, led by Mr. Racial Jungle, Joseph or Iscariot, fighting over scraps as they barrage us all with variants and BuzzFeed clickbait, straight until we're paralyzed, trying to distract us from the concentration camps that Joe had swore he'd close but only chose to amplify, where they got 50-something kids in cages made for 5 to occupy. And no, she hasn't seen the camps, but Harris swears they're paradise. She tells us the facilities are safe, and that right down to the women, they are regularly sterilized. Then she throws her head back and she proceeds to laugh, that sort of heartless cackle you'd expect from someone working steadfastly on behalf of the virus and a Congress full of parasites. And where was I? I was busy cashing every blue check, demonstrating plainly all the narratives expected from the verified. I was busy breeding verbal leeches by the terabyte. Train them to exsanguinate the wealthy while they sleep at night. Bleed the oil barons dry and barren. Say they showed us how to share and now we share alike. Tell them I contracted rabies from a feral mic. Now I'm just another species losing sleep to noise pollution and these glaring lights. Forced to change its habits and adapt to just survive. But now it's safe to say that some of us are thriving in the moment, throwing shit on presidential homes beneath the Paris skies. So if you feel like you're just powerless, I guess you bought the lie. But I can tell they're petrified of our collective might, 'cause I can hear those gentrifiers weeping at the sight of our collective rights. And I only can imagine the intensifying fear of knowing revolution's near. And all that's left to do is simply wallow in the thick anticipation of a rabid bite. And baby, one day you can ask your leaders just what that was like before you grab a slice. So if you think you're powerless, allow me now to change your mind. Honey, if you think you're powerless, allow me now to change your mind. See, they'll pay you hourly, tax them each apart, and build a shining tower out of loopholes and cards, and tell you that you're powerless to keep you in the dark because you aren't, because we aren't. You see, they'll pay you hourly, tax them each apart, and make you build a shining tower out of loopholes and cards, where they'll tell you that you're powerless to keep you in the dark because you aren't, because we aren't.
Legend says that Hercules swept Cerberus right off his feet and effortlessly set him down softly as a songbird. Atlas kept the world upon his back and every day wondered whether he could stand it any longer. And Tarvarid came out to say the man they tried to label the messiah of morality was really just another rapist. and I don't intend to hesitate when asked who was the stronger. Tara, like Assange, knew that carrying the truth would be the hardest labor. Tara knew that her assailant wasn't gonna make us any safer, and knew he's just the type of man to hand a decent foreign leader US-printed walking papers, and knew he'd be relentless and aggressive in the war he'd wage upon her very character, that his attempts to weaken and degrade and embarrass her would be her only compensation. But I strongly doubt that anyone could ever have foreseen the stream of hate that came from quote-unquote progressives and the self-styled titans of survivor advocation. So if you really think there's something to be gained out of sharing your pain with the world, you are sorely mistaken. The Biden team just dragged their feet addressing Tara's allegations. Until they had a decent list of smears, then they aired them out on every station. And it turns out no one wants to hear the truth of who they praised as being worthy of such bloated liberal celebration. That no one wants to really know the person they've so valiantly defended, even when it meant they had to gloat and shit all over someone braver than they'd be if given the occasion. Now cue the faceless comment squad invasion. Cue those fuckers crawling out the woodwork to come analyze the way you wore your hair and what you wear. Like your appearance waives your rights, or that somehow you're the reason for your situation. Somehow they've decided you should bear responsibility for what such monstrous men insist on doing. Somehow they're deluded by the empty, hypocritical, and useless fucking platitudes that bastard keeps on spewing. And I think it's very telling that the best of their excuses when they try to come and justify our president's abuses is a hearty butt Trump. In which case I'll remind you that you never saw the news attempt to sell us Donald Trump like he was morally upstanding or a decent human. But when Joe says something bigoted or ogles someone's little kid, CNN says, isn't this refreshing? Biden's like a mix of JFK and FDR with all the finer parts of Harry Truman. Christ, I know that they don't think that we're the brightest, but at least pretend we got a couple lumens. Ask yourself if you have ever questioned what they fed you, or do you just shut your eyes and then consume it? And now ask yourself if you ate every one of Biden's lies under guise of harm reduction and the promise of a slight improvement. And now imagine long ago that Biden chose to show you who he really was by traumatizing you for his amusement. Now imagine that you watched him touch a Bible with those filthy hands, and then assume the power of the highest seat in all the land, of knowing your attacker wields a global coalition born of three-letter agencies who'll make a life's mission out of trying to discredit you through lies, damn lies, and collusion. Big tech is never gonna separate from our surveillance state. Fuck's sakes, they're just a breath away from total fusion. So there will come a time where even if you see the light, your voice will never reach the sky through all the bots and all the noise pollution. So trust us when we tell you that the masking of abuses is perhaps this country's oldest institution. And I know nothing nobler than facing it in honor of the truth when you know that the people holding power have been neutralizing truth since there was wet ink on the Constitution. So know that Tara's truth is something crucial to the movement. And if you see yourself a partner to the revolution, help this country see through all the baseless propaganda through the crux of Joe's illusions. And recognize that Tara Reid gave everything she had so she could tell us what the truth is. Recognize the decent thing to do when someone bares their soul and shows their bruises is not to ask for context or offer up your own solutions. Your job is just to listen with an honest mind and put yourself on Tara's side a moment so you understand the path she chooses. That there is no instant fame worth the dragging of your name. And if that's what you think, you've a lot to learn about the kind of facts the mob can handle and the kind that it refuses. You've a lot to learn about the news and all its many uses. Guess you've yet to learn the truth the news will serve as fruit from which they've squeezed out all the juices. And we all eat the husk and just pretend it's full of nutrients and isn't really useless. But the jaws of our ability to yield accountability are absolutely toothless. So don't you kid yourself that any lips are being loosened. They won't ever tell us where the bodies are or show us where the proof is. It's on you to recognize the lechery our president so regularly oozes. It's on you to muster up some honesty and ask yourself how Biden won your trust, but it's America that loses. Open up your eyes and learn to recognize the bruises. Open up your eyes and learn to recognize the bruises.
Hey everybody! Oh my goodness! It is, oh my god, American tradition again already. Already? Come on! It's been 2 weeks. Jesse and I were just commenting to each other just before the stream. It feels like an eternity. It doesn't feel like 2 weeks. It feels like oh my, like I don't even know how long, but a lot longer than 2 weeks. I love seeing you, and I'm glad to be back here doing this again.
I aged a good 3 years. It feels like a long time since I've seen you. So yeah, good to see you, man.
Well, the last stream that we did, Uncle Palooza for the benefit stream for Warren, was legendary. I have not stopped playing it. There are specific numbers that just continue to reverberate in my head. You know, the Come On Eileen was so good. So everybody can, if you want to go back to episode 8 to last time, we actually chaptered it up. We cropped out the beginning, so we lost the chat. Sorry, Cynic, but we're not going to do that again. But we did chapter it so that you can go to the beginning of each song, and it goes right to the beginning of it. You can just click on the timestamp, which is really cool. It makes it a whole lot easier and more fun, and you can listen to the rest of the rest of the show in succession rather than it just being clips. That was a blast. Now I'm again hearing that echo thing. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's me. Anyway, we have a great show tonight for episode 9 of American Tradition, and I will go ahead and read somewhere. Mr. Jesse sent me a thing that had the description, and of course now I've lost it, so I'm going to go to Twitter and bring that up. Rookie move, Indy. Come on, dude. Let's go. You got to be more prepared than this. Okay, for the 9th installment of American Tradition, join us for a sneak peek at several pieces for Jesse's next spoken word album, The Co-Opt, including Union Drip, Tyrant Tartare, and the truly epic title track, which will clock in at about nearly 17 minutes, the longest spoken word piece this guy's ever written. Holy crap.
Yup. Yeah, that was a marathon session.
And then if we have time, we're hoping that Jesse's also going to have time to play his 50s Nuclear Doo-Wop EP that would make for a killer double feature. So we're going to go for it all. We're live again on Rockfin, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Share this out because we did a terrible job of promoting this. Please. I'll come correct. I did a terrible job. I don't even know if INN did a tweet before we went live, just like, hey man, we're throwing a stream together. We're gonna do this and we're gonna have some fun. And hey, whatever happens. And
honestly, it worked out because the last couple of weeks have been bonkers. Weekend before last, my son spent in the hospital, so obviously we were in the hospital with him. He's fine now. He got some sort of cold going around that tests negative for all the viral panels they could test for, but he was just, his pulse oxygen was super low and needed a little bit of oxygen, hospital stay, and some steroids. Which boy, a 5-year-old on steroids, man, oh my gosh. I'm about ready for a trip to the hospital after the abuse he's put me through. Right? He's finally feeling better. His numbers are good.
Like, not cool, G. So, what are you doing?
We're right. We're all good now. But I did end up writing several pieces in that time. I haven't touched my guitar since that show, but I definitely have written. So when all of a sudden I woke up today, I was like, Oh, it's Tuesday, and it's the second Tuesday. Like, I have a show tonight.
Well, and then you saw my message, like, what are we doing?
I'm not practiced up on anything, but I happen to be really fresh on all these pieces I just wrote, and it's certainly enough to get a show out of. So I'm, normally I just will write stuff and keep putting it out. And when I did the grift, I was like, I'm going to take my time after this. I'm not going to write for a while, and I'm going to promote this album and keep pushing it. But I enjoy writing new pieces way more than I do trying to promote old pieces. Like I don't like pushing, it came out, people listened, and I've kept writing, and the stuff I've been writing is really pertinent to what's happening right now, and I don't want to sit on that for even a couple months. So I'll probably be recording everything for the co-opt and shooting for a 9/11 release date, because why not? So yeah, that's what I'm aiming for, at least. And it'll just be spoken word. But because after doing Home Companion, like sitting down in one night and just ripping through it all, it's so much fun recording like that. And so I was like, God, I can record a spoken word piece in a day or two, do the whole album. So it'll end up being about the same length as Home Companion. I think probably 30 minutes, 35 minutes, something like that.
And you record that
since the title track is half of that.
You record that in the car, right? That's how you get the quiet?
Now, for the grift, actually everything on the grift and Home Companion I recorded right here. Since I've started streaming here, I got my setup right. I with Powerless, as soon as we got done with the show that night, I switched over, turned on GarageBand, and recorded first take right here, and that's the one that's on the record. So as much as I loved the car for the seclusion factor, this spot in my basement gets a little bit crisper of a sound and less of that kind of tinny, boxy echo that I could never get rid of before. So still do it all on my phone with the same mic here that I use. But yeah, now I'll do some mixing and mastering, usually in the car on lunch breaks. That's kind of an ongoing process.
Unbelievable, man. Again, and listening to the grift, still, I continue to listen to Powerless. I mean, on a regular basis. I love listening to Echosphere. I love that sound of the cricket noise that you turn into a sound. It just kind of it hooks you. It's catchy. It's a catchy tune. So I also wanted to shout out our INN member Angel. He also had some trouble, some family members, and if there's any way you can hook up Angel, and I'm gonna put his link tree up there and pin it for a little bit. And if anyone can go over there, I know he's looking for some followers on Twitter, and he's looking, definitely, go follow him on YouTube. But if you can hook him up with a couple of bucks, I know he's struggling also. I know everybody is right now. And we hate to do like these fundraising things where we're asking everybody for money and to donate all the time, but with people struggling, and we just want to let people know, so that if you do have a couple of bucks and you're looking for somewhere to give it, Angel's a great place to help out, a great dude to help out. So
yep.
We've got a few pieces that Jesse has prepared tonight. And again, he's been writing since, when did you start writing these?
The first of these pieces was probably a month ago, when I started piecing together Union Drip. That one's been in the works for a while, kind of as we've watched the slow evolution of Chris Smalls and this sudden like pro-union vibe that everyone's trying to give off. It's just so laughable coming from some people. That started, that was a bit kind of a slow evolution. I'll usually sit down and write something all the way through. I mean, all of the co-opt, which is, I think it was like 2,800 words or something, that was one session. But Union Drip has been, it just finished today writing that one, and that's been in the works for a bit. So, but most of these are in the last few weeks. I'm gonna put the piece I wrote for Win Allen Bruce, Consider It a Win. I think that's gonna go on this album too.
Yeah, that hasn't made it on one yet, right?
Correct. Yeah, it felt like a little disrespectful to put it on a record called The Grift, and unfortunately, I'm sure that his story, I mean, it's already kind of co-opted in that when you hear about it on the news, it was like, well, some nut job burned himself to death in front of the building the other day. It wasn't like anything about why he did it or his background. That it was just that usual kind of whitewashing and cast aside. So I feel like it's unfortunately a little too fitting to put it on a record called The Co-opt. But I wanted to put it on something because I really, that piece means a lot to me. So
might have to be The Co-opt and Other Fine Writings. Maybe that's how we have to separate that a little bit. But to say goodbye to Mona, thanks for stopping by. We know you got to get kitties down. Everybody, love you. There's no songs tonight. We're going to be doing spoken word pieces that Jesse's written. So, but definitely check back in.
Well, there will be songs after.
Oh, right.
We're doing 50 songs, but you'll be able to come back.
Right.
We're recording this whole thing. Don't worry.
Yep. And again, we're going to chapter it up, so you'll be able to go right to each song and listen to whatever you want to listen to right away. And there'll be fluff and there'll be a lot of fun in between. You might want to listen to that, but I'll try to put
magic.
I'll try to put the markers in there so it makes it easier. But so I wanted to get to the first piece, which was
yes.
Woo! Okie doke. Here we go. Are you
this
ready?
Is for Colin's still here?
Colin is definitely here. Colin's here.
You know, it's not like I didn't have thoughts about the Vanguard, but it just wasn't it didn't seem worth it, and there were bigger fish to fry, as it were. And then I saw them say something to Colin, like, you're a disgrace, you're not a real leftist, some blah, 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 blah. The kind of shit people say to people all the time. But I was like, that's different. That's our Colin, you know, that's a personal attack. So I started thinking about, you know, if I were to write a piece about the Vanguard, what would it be? And the thought I had the whole time was like, I know they're a bigger production, but it felt like punching down. It just felt like attacking something that was defenseless. And then I realized maybe the best way to do this is let's have the whole piece kind of take place in my head to some extent of me weighing the options of whether it's worth it or not. And then by the time we get to the end and I kind of decide that it's not, the damage has already been done. And I may or may not have cackled out loud when I had that eureka moment. So yeah.
I would lean towards the May, but just because I listened to you sing and you cackle in the middle of a song.
So yeah, this this was another very productive day at work where I wrote this one. So this is for the kids at the Vanguard. This is what serves as Vanguard. No intro, folks. I'm ripping in, opening my notes app like a vat of acid. Let's begin. Point me to the journalists I'm dipping in. Wait a minute. Holy shit. Something must be wrong. It's just a couple kids. Not a single wrinkle on their privileged skin. Couple of whiskers you can just make out through all the clout that's dribbling off their little chins. The Vanguard charge of a Red Rose strike force, mouths wide open as they charge into the hype wars. Now, usually I'd be obliged to take my time and savor every moment of the movie of me stretching out this two-piece till I eat it like a 5-course. Usually I'd lift them up and drop them 25 floors, strip their image back, expose the eyesore. But it's sad to see the DSA make cattle of the prepubescent. It's sad to witness Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome-addled brains of adolescents. So maybe I should cut some slack and throw them back. Like once they're done maturing, they might guess the message. Maybe once they're all grown up, they'll learn their lesson. Maybe they'll look back a couple years from now and cringe just like I did the day I found those old Obama pins behind my dresser. Your Vanguard's just a couple drips, no ripples to be made. I guess if you carry water, you're an honorary blue wave. Defending our democracy like anything survived for you to save. So arbiters of good intention, tell us who is truly leftist. Let them wield identity like such a holy weapon, and let no one through the gate who's unordained.
While you're both streaming live with boot receptacles agape, a couple overzealous paladins decrying bad faith, here to show Kalinsky you can fit your whole fist so his size 8 shoes ain't shit. Man, if that's what serves as Vanguard, then your army's got a lot to lose. Except for the respect of those who jump at Shining Schumer's shoes. Those who treat the issues like a pleasant conversation that they're having on a dinner cruise. But never once in my whole life has punching up felt so much like it's child abuse. Like maybe I should save my scorn for those whose lobes are fully formed, who aren't just human moths that swarm the brightest clout to keep them warm. Maybe it's not worth the mess of mopping guppies off the floor, strike a nerve, then CPS comes knocking at my chamber door. So cut them loose. Wait it out an album cycle, maybe 4. If they didn't learn by then, I'll proceed with no remorse. Once they're just your average centrist, drumming up support for wars, ask you for receipts as they both cite a State Department source. See, the pipeline's pretty short from clueless faux progressive larva to the fragile centrist chrysalis where criticism's trauma, to spreading wide your liberal wings to shit on all the fauna as you host your weekly brunch and sit down chit-chat with Rokana. You'd both do well to heed my words and look me in the eyes. My words will spare you only once, I don't show mercy twice, and my lyrics aren't the kind of place where people leave alive, but I don't eat low-hanging fruit, leave it for the flies.
And I'd say mic drop.
We have
on
fun
that
here.
I'd say that's a little bit of a mic drop. Damn. Okay. We got Uncle Warren. Yay, Uncle Warren.
Get out of here.
Combination's here too. What's up, dude? Combination was live just before this. Check that out on INN. We were co-streaming from his channel. He had Willie Bragg on, as well as, I can't remember the other dude that he had on, but I was watching. It seemed pretty decent. Good conversation. So yeah, I'm wondering if I'm gonna get a DM from Gavin. Like, dude, what the fuck, man? Well, hey, man, I didn't write it. I didn't write it. I just sat here.
Plausible deniability.
I just sat here. Yeah. I don't think there's very much to argue with there per se. You know, we're not blue check liberals yet. Yet. Yeah.
Which is why it's in a lot of instances there are a lot of personalities in the left that if you peer a little into their future, you can see them doing, you know, Minority Report. You can see them doing
Rising,
you know, any kind of TYT adjacent. Yeah, you just exactly. So
well, certainly breaking points. We know that that's a desired spot for them. So good for you guys, man. Like we said, more power to you. Keep doing your thing, and if you get to that point, then Jesse will certainly have his way, and we'll have some fun at that point. But that was that was him thinking about what he wanted to do with that. So so the next one, I actually, we recorded. So I'll tell the story that the day that you wrote this.
Yes.
You were so fired up to get it down that you're like, dude, I want to get this down. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And we didn't go live. We just jumped onto StreamYard and I recorded it, and I've got them sitting here. I uploaded this next piece, and I think we actually published it and released it like last week as a single, a spoken word piece. And so that's on INN right now. You could listen to it on its own.
Did we put it up?
I think we did. Either that, or I think I put that one out, but not. Oh no, you told me to do the Vanguard piece. So the Vanguard piece is actually live, but this one
hasn't been put out yet.
This one's
I was like,
draft,
you know what?
right.
I said, I'd like to maybe redo those. And then that was the evening that we ended up taking my son to the emergency room, and then the whole next week was politics and music were the last thing on my mind.
So I'm excited to hear you do it again. I know you're ready to do this
and
again.
This is a short piece, but this was one that
especially now that the main course of this album is going to be 17 minutes long. I can afford a couple short pieces. So this is Tyrant Tartare. A symphony of occupying sirens. Strike before you fired up your irons. Drop you to the dog pack, slice you up, divide you up amongst the lions. Everybody chasing for a tiny taste of the lifestyle of a tyrant. Me, I only want a taste of tyrant. I like my meat rare with a red still vibrant. No one wants to work, so we're now hiring any hungry product of impoverished environs who's desperate enough to eat to work a 40-hour week and still not make a single end that meets another end beside it. Before you even knew to speak, your poverty was long decided. Your future preordained into a potter's field the state provided. Heaven sent and laser guided. Straight into the mouths of those who saw the truth and kept it quiet. Right into the parasite that works the nerve that bought their silence. Somewhere undisclosed within the Virgin Islands. Where stomach-turning irony is the likeliest of private pilots. Drop a little weight off over open ocean's rolling mileage. Never ask a sleeping agent what's behind those rolling eyelids. Never ask a decent act of Joseph Biden. Never ask a voting blue, no matter who Democrat, about their favorite politician's finance. Or just how many licks until they're crashing off their Vyvanse. And come down to the brutal truth of shackled feet and tied hands. Rolling amber waves of piss that soak your broken promised land. For worse or better, I will live and die an honest man who crawled and clawed and fought to stand where truer words were contraband, where human birth was in demand, regardless of your circumstance, so you were forced to term by laws that never saw a doctor's hands. So a plague on both the houses of the ruling class. May all their shifting sands be burned to pools of cooling glass, so everywhere they look, their own reflections drooling back with hungry eyes, unrecognized, unverified, and Bible black.
Boom. I'm getting a little hungry for some Tyrant Tartare. That sounds like it might be tasty.
So you got a little audio echo.
Who's got echo? Me?
No one else?
Or Jesse? You might be sitting too close to your head, to your mic. That's...
Anybody else? Okay.
It's not coming from Jesse? Uh-oh.
Okay.
I don't know how or why. Uh-oh, Reef, we screwed up sound. I thought we were good. Okay. Somebody says I hear no echo. Maybe reload. Okay, good. It's not just me. Okay, Shirley, you're probably loaded in 2 different tabs. I hear that once in a while. If I'm loaded in 2 tabs, or if I have like Rockfin and YouTube open, and God bless you if you're watching it on 2 different platforms, and we love people that do that, because you certainly can. And let's get that view count up, everybody. I'm just messing around. But we love to make the algorithms. Let's do that. Every browser counts as a view. So there's Brave, there's Opera, there's Edge, there's Firefox, and you've got Chrome. So you got 5 browsers. That's 5 views. Come on, everybody. Times 5 different platforms. Come on. Let's get going.
Just simple math. I mean,
right? Like, so that's 25 views. Come on. I don't see 25 views right now live. So I'm just playing games. So we've got a couple more pieces here, and now we're going to get to the one that I'm really looking forward to hearing. As somebody who has been, well, before we even get into the next one, is there anything else? Is there anything else on Tyrant Tartare that you wanted to get into? And
I don't think so.
Okay, so
no.
The next
we're going to be
one,
slicing up some of these next ones for sure. But...
Yes, the next one is Union Drip. And Colin and I, especially, of course, Reef too, we have been tightly watching what's happening with Amazon Labor and with Starbucks United. And we actually spoke to an Amazon Labor Union member in Kentucky who got fired last week. And so to see this and to have been observing what's happening, unfortunately, so far with Chris, that's been a little disappointing from at least the outside. Now, again, I can't say what's been happening on the inside, though I can talk to people who have been kind of around him. And there are some things that we could definitely do to help, but I don't see them asking for help or reaching out or involving enough people. And I think that they're a little worried about co-option. They're a little worried about keeping things a little insular, and I totally get why they're doing that. But we're going to be talking to some more ALU members, but Jesse wanted to write this track to kind of talk a little bit about kind of for the co-op, and this was kind of one of the inspiring pieces behind it, seeing what's been happening to our friend Chris since April 1st, since the Amazon vote at the Staten Island warehouse at JFK 8 that won unionization, where they voted to unionize. They have not been recognized by Amazon so far, and it's been a fight. The Amazon's taken the union to court with the NLRB. You now have Albany ALB 1 just filed last week for unionization, also as ALU. You've got other union organizations that are trying to get involved also, the Teamsters, for example, the RWDSU. And again, we are big supporters of what's happening within the workers movement at Amazon as well as at Starbucks. We've been heavily following all of that, and we want to talk to some Starbucks organizers too. But what we don't want to see is false hope placed in a leader that can be taken down, that's being set up to be he's being set up for a fall potentially, or to be knocked down, and then that be the face of the entire labor movement, and the labor movement then takes a hit as a result, because that is something that doesn't need to happen and shouldn't happen, and some of us see that happening and being set up, and him playing right to that role, unfortunately, because he's trying to get the exposure and he's doing what he perceives to be as the best thing for the union and the workers, which is going everywhere and playing ball and sitting down with the AFT and shaking hands with Biden and all the different things. And we're going to be putting out a Substack piece over the coming week or so that's going to detail a lot of these different things, and we'll incorporate this piece into it. And we'll have a visual as well. I know we're working on a video that's going to accompany this. Very exciting stuff, but also disappointing because, look, we've got millions of workers in the United States at stake here, and we don't want to lose sight of that. And that's where our focus is to make sure that they get the support and that they're treated well and that they can live and not be abused just for going to work on a daily basis.
Exactly.
So I'm going to shut up now and get off my soapbox, and because this is the Jesse show still. So so this is oh, see, I went too far over. This is Union Drip.
All right. I came to be a prophet, but I'll settle for pariah. We filled the air with DDT and called the wind Mariah. We cheer on every victory in the war against Goliath. Watch them model Christian Smalls and pose him with Zendaya. They're gonna milk that union drip till the very last simp takes the very last sip. And when it's all wrung dry and it's not worth shit, then they'll leave it laying right where it is. You can watch them let it all drip into the ditch. Here's the sitch. Biden will invoke the witch of January 6 as a quick fix. Tell you that she's here to fill your bellies with some twigs and sticks, roxberries and a capital brick. Concurrently, he's finger-wagging all of the Republicans while sucking their proverbial dicks. Fluff them up a couple of concessions in the flick of a bic. Just need lights and a camera and prompter and someone to monitor the prompter who knows his shit. Joe's gonna open the show with a few short words to be chanted by old white folks wearing old white cloaks who will march in a circle around a progressive political star who is purely a place to spit. But it's all good fun, and there's no harm done when the banks yell cut and they're calling it quits. It's all Flint water gone under the bridge, out of sight, out of mind, and dissolved in the mist. Joe'll only need a flick of the wrist, and the throat of the movement is slit. It'll sputter and gurgle and choke for a bit, bleed out in a viral clip. And as the last of its life force flows to the floor, he'll say, "That's my idea of a union drip. See, the eyes are a glimpse of the soul."
So it says a whole lot if they aren't exposed, and your message is branding you stamped on your clothes, and the media storm is wherever you go. Then you go meet Joe, and you laugh at his quips, and you shake his hand with a nice firm grip, and you cry good trouble through the loafers on your lips. Too true, that's a union drip. Who knew that the victory gift for your unionization's a DNC script, and it's nice and precise like a sniper who's trying to cripple you right where you live? The target they lead is your wallet. They seek to dismember your hands so you can't feed your family or pick up your kids. While they flatter themselves into orgasm, feigning respect for our unions, who wired our grids, who welded our ships, who died for our rights to not witness our children conscripted to 12-hour shifts in the mines from the time that they're 5, when they know damn well that the union had thrived till they shattered its hip. Showed up and handed out Pinkerton slips. Now it's as simple as status and symbol, and making the star of the movement so bright that the movement itself is eclipsed. Now our mouths grow dusty and dry on the promise of union drips that trickle down out of a wealthy fist that is squeezing the heart of the working class hard as it can till it finally ruptures and splits, punctures a valve, and it laughs at the sound of the squish. The way that they laugh at the sight of us making a wage slave's wish to a man on the cover of Vanity Fair saying, "Eat the rich." So this is for those who rely on commissions or toil for tips, watching their bosses drink bottles of profits while all you get offered are jugs of their piss. If you seek out the soul of the movement or proof that the movement exists, try looking in the eyes of Chris. And when you find that you can't, then the answer is as simple as this. The movement is never one single face, and a drip is a leak to repair or replace. We won't eat the rich to suit expensive tastes. We'll consume because survival's at stake.
Yeah.
That's union drip.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that. There's some really, I've never seen or heard that one. That was brand new to me. And
yeah, I just finished that this afternoon.
Wow.
Whew, ooh la la.
The DNC. There's a line here. Who knew that the victory gift
unionization's a DNC script?
Wow, man. Oh, the victory gift. Yes, they'll let you have that one. Wow. Because they know that they can crush it in the end.
Yeah.
You can go meet Joe and shake his hand and cry good trouble. Oh my God, that's a union drip, and that's exactly what he would do. Joe would say that. That's union drip. Baby. That's union drip, baby. It's a
yep.
What I was thinking there was, I beat the socialist. That's exactly what he was thinking.
Yeah. Yep. That smugness that Joe's waiting to unleash at any given moment. He's just got that like right in his pocket.
Because people screw with him all the time, so he's waiting to give that back. Holy shit. Yep. That's damn. Yeah.
Let me see if there's any of that I really wanted to go into.
John Kemper, what's going on?
I feel like the I bits stand out there. One thing that always has bugged me is that that even in the evening, even indoors, that the sunglasses became a part of his look, because it's such a it feels like just this wall of insincerity when you're trying to talk to working class people and reach through to us. It's hard for me to trust someone if I can't see their eyes. That's a big thing, and that just stood out to me more and more. And I think it speaks a lot too to someone being made the face of a movement, because then once you turn everyone's focus to that person and their own life and their own issues, then if you have them fail or them change their tune, then so does the movement along with it, or at least people's perception of it. So like you said, we all kind of watched hoping for the best, preparing for the worst, desperately wanting to be wrong. I don't think any of us are watching the co-opting of not just Amazon's labor movement, but there are so many politicians, Joe Biden included, that love to say, I support unions, I'm a friend of the unions, and that's such horseshit. And even some companies that want to try to do that, seem to be doing it out of, it just being the safe thing to do in the moment, because a lot of these places have some of the unions under their thumb. You can unionize the Amazon workforce, but you're dealing with a union. You haven't all of a sudden won the means of production for Amazon workers. That's very different.
Exactly.
And again,
that's
one of those
goal.
situations where I really want to be wrong, and I hope that something's gonna.
It's funny because we that's the other thing that we've been talking about a lot with Colin, and Colin is constantly screaming about that the ask is never big enough. That what should first of all, we need to get focused and figure out what is our long-term goal, and all get on the same page of how do we want that to happen.
Exactly.
And what should that long-term goal be? And it should really be the workers owning the means of production themselves, and keeping the profits. Look, shareholders are important, but at least had to have it some kind of equitable way so that everybody participates, because when you've got one guy making $170 billion or with that kind of net worth, while all of his employees are pissing in jugs, and I love how you got the piss jugs in there. Backbreaking work. We talked to this guy at Campbellsville, and they're walking 15 to 20 miles a day because they don't have the automation to go pick these things in the warehouses, and it's backbreaking. And the average person lasts 12 to 18 months. They hire people on temporary basis to see if they'll work out, and then maybe move them to permanent. And it's really hard to get hired as a permanent if you didn't start as a temp. But even still as a temp, it's hard to move up to permanent. Like there's a whole hierarchy structure and a 2-class system amongst the workers. So, and we'll be talking more. Colin and I are going to have another interview with Matt. And if you look up Amazon Labor Union Kentucky, and I need to get Angel's link up there. I did promise to do that. So let me go and grab Angel's link and drop that in. Actually, I have that here. INN links, Angel Linktree. Hey, that does work. Yay. There's Angel's Linktree. So everybody go to Angel's Linktree, follow, subscribe, hook them up. Got a couple bucks to throw them. Awesome. If not, totally understand. Thank you so much just for showing them some love. That's our brother
Steve
over there.
Is just in time. It's like Steve knew this is time for the Steve.
No.
We're to Mort Boheme,
it's time
right?
for it is. It's time for some AM wake up. Nice.
So,
all right. Warren wants some reggae version of Funky Town, please and thank you. So I had to show that.
And I wish I could remember who it was. Someone posted a picture from the ceremony that takes place every year at the Bohemian Grove in California. And it's something that I was aware of before, but I'd never really looked into that much. And it's something that once you do, it's like, oh man, it's so unsettling. It's so, okay. I'll try to just as quickly as I can. This club has existed for 100 and something years. And has included Nixon, Eisenhower was Old Guard, which is 40 years plus of membership, a whole bunch of actors, poets, newscasters, musicians, all these different people. And among other things, once a year, they get together and put on this play called The Cremation of Care. And it's basically everyone wearing these ceremonial robes and some torches and burning this coffin that has a wooden skeleton inside, wrapped in a black muslin cloth that essentially symbolizes their cares. Back when the kind of slightly older meaning of the word, when it was your concerns, your stresses, your worries, etc., not care as in affection. And I guess once more people became aware of that and became more curious of it, there were some efforts to normalize it. And there was one guy that wrote about it extensively to basically say, this is kind of dudes being guys, just hanging out. They drink, powerful people are weird. They like to just hang out and, be wood nymphs or whatever and get drunk. but everything I read where someone was like, yeah, I watch it, it's really not that big of a deal, it just makes it feel all the creepier. There's no way to not I don't know. One account of it, the guy that wrote about it said, was it Walter Cronkite, George Bush, and Clint Eastwood performing this one trio role in it, and it's just so surreal, but also, you know, knowing what I know now, like I fucking believe it. Why not? Why wouldn't, you know? It also begs the question we've always wondered: how do these people live with themselves? And maybe there is some deeper cost that they pay to be able to get by with that. So I love myself a good ritual. I'm an old Lovecraft fan, and there's a lot of imagery and words that I usually don't get to use in my stuff, that this was a really great opportunity to do. So yeah, this was just a little journey into that. This is called La Mort Boheme. Walter Cronkite, George Bush, and Clint Eastwood walk into a ritual. A tinted caravan is coiled under onyx skies. It weaves the wilds, winding deep within the forest's bowels, where famous faces, every one of which you recognize, are all encircled, every one adorned in scarlet cowl. And in the center of the circle sits a sacrifice with 30 robed and hooded figures stood before a massive owl. Its face is caked in moss, the torch's light, the flush of life is rushed into its carven eyes as horns exude a wounded howl. And soon there grows among the wealthy crowd a thunderous swell. The feral mouths of power, blackened words on blighted dirt. They heave communal dirge, unbodied more than tongue could tell. A kiss of Saturn's gas, in satyr flames the grotto bursts. And soon the CEOs will swirl immoral sarabands. And soon the oldest guard will bloom a grove of bacchanal. And soon the truth of power stares up from the bearer's hands, and I would see too much to ever feel like I came back at all. I'd see too much to not return there in my every dream. I'd see too much to not see cultists on the silver screen, to feel like I'd returned the same man I'd departed as, who didn't see the words of binding spelled out in the autographs. I can't explain to those that couldn't grasp the half of it, that didn't smell that sacrifice, that didn't hear the Baphomet. You'll never speak the words if you can't comprehend their alphabet, to hear the ataraxia that calls to all the rhapsodists. You don't know the exodus of all the earthly morals the triumvirate Trismegistus would purge before the start. The invocation always was intended as a choral, and they carve you all but hollow so its words might fill your heart. What rights they have to immolate and purge their worldly cares so they are never bound by sympathy to see or hear our pain. They can edit out the screams of children piercing through the air. They can bound it black in muslin wrap and wash it all in flame. So Cronkite, Bush, and Eastwood walk into a ring of runes, while Longfellow and Holmes are lying buried in Mount Auburn. They cry aloud cremation neath a silver sylvan moon and set their effigy ablaze that it may satisfy their sovereign. An offering to Providence, presented in a coffin by those who rose to prominence through war and entertainment. The gala glow of pageantry that hides a private auction that we don't need attend because we're there in form of payment. Maybe that's their whole arrangement made to keep the dream alive, perpetuate enslavement, and still find a way to sleep at night. Now we know the measures that they'll take and what they deify. Never break the chain and don't let Cheney near the hematite. Somewhere beneath the gaping onyx sky, where a beast was brought to raucous life that never truly dies, an owl is standing vigil at an altar in a grove, and the hoods all cover faces that you know. So for those that don't know, hematite will fuck up your pacemaker.
Oh. Well, yeah, then definitely don't let, well, they wouldn't.
I mean, we would. I'd throw it at him.
They wouldn't want to let Cheney do exactly. We, on the other hand, throwing him at that motherfucker real fast. Yes, 100%. Oh my god, that's great. Damn. So that inspired this whole, again, like, There's like 19 different words. Man, I've got a pretty decent vocabulary, but you dropped some stuff in here that make me feel kind of like did I go to college? Like maybe not, maybe not. Like this is pretty smart stuff there, mister. Good stuff, man. Yeah, to hear the ataraxia that calls to all the rhapsodists. Yeah, I'm sure those lines have never been said before. In that way.
Well, I actually used ataraxia in Love Your Prison.
Yes.
Because that means exactly that. It means like trivial cares, which I love. Well, I don't love, but there's so much to be said about the idea of ceremonially burning an effigy that represents your little worries and little concerns. And it's not a big reach to think that people in those kind of power and that see that much of themselves wouldn't equate that with, our needs and our concerns, because that's certainly what it feels like. And yeah, that once I read a little bit about that from like the sources that they try to put out to be like, this is all we do. It's not a big deal. It's just, we're just kind of hanging out. That makes it all the more sinister feeling to me. It really does. It'd be better if they were just like, no, those are doctored images. We don't, because there's this giant statue of an owl that's all covered in moss by this little dais by a man-made pond, and that's where they do this. And it's it's just so bizarre, and was definitely ripe for the picking for this.
I was thinking like World Economic Forum precursor, effectively, or like Bilderberg Group, like kind of like.
What's interesting is in a list of like, one of their main thing is like, you don't discuss business there, that all these people are supposed to be there and not talk shop, with the exception of a meeting for the Manhattan Project that took place there because Robert Oppenheimer was a member. And what's funny, here's his super nerd status. When I was reading about it, and one of the guys said that part of the ceremony, it's so ridiculous, was Clint Eastwood, Cronkite, and George Bush, and that in segmented parts like the Budweiser frogs, they would say cremation, and it's just such a ridiculous thing to consider. But again, also, once I thought of that and wanted to use it, obviously like I got to use that line. Those three guys, it feels like a walks into a bar joke, hence the subtitle. It reminded me of a Lovecraft line that I always loved for some reason. And the Lovecraft line was if anyone knows Lovecraft, the story Pickman's Model is about this guy who paints these really disturbing things and all these weird, bizarre creatures. And spoiler alert, you find out in the end that he was painting them from real models. He went somewhere and found these bizarre things and would go and visit them to actually paint them from life. And one of his paintings is all these like ghouls or creatures gathered around one another in a subway tunnel. And one of them is reading aloud from a guidebook of the city of Boston. And they're all laughing at what he's reading. And he's reading, the painting is titled Holmes, Lowell, and Longfellow Lie Buried in Mount Auburn. The implication being that they're all laughing because they know those bodies aren't there anymore. I looked up because I immediately thought of that when I thought of Cronkite, Bush, and Eastwood. I thought Holmes, Lowell, and Longfellow. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if one of them had been members? Turns out Longfellow and Holmes were. I didn't look up Lowell, but I figured 2 out of 3 is good enough. I'm gonna use them, and we're gonna roll with the line. So there's a massive list of people that have been involved, and again, it was musicians. They had a bunch of, it was kind of for a while a big deal to get to be asked to perform there because it was a big gala event of all dudes, just being dudes in the woods doing dude ceremonies.
Well, you use poetic license there. I'll give you that one. I did want to shout out, since Jimmy is here in chat, and we've got Uncle Warren here also. What's up, Uncle Warren? About a week and a half ago, some people were asking for some Jett merch. So we made that happen. Shout out to Reef and shout out to Jimmy for the design. But there is a Jett tank, which you can get in all sizes up to 2XL. Okay. And on the back is the album cover of The Grift, which with also the the Say Anything John Cusack with the boombox. And that's actually that is my desktop. Like, I've got him on my desktop with that boombox because I just love that so much. Shout out to Big Man Crab for designing that. This is at the INN merch store. So, and this is the link to the INN merch store if you want to pick up one of the items. And Reef worked very hard on making the mug and the stickers, and you can even get yourself some INN flip-flops. And we're going to be working on adding some more merch to the store. But of course, our favorites phrase, labels are bad, stay independent, is on the back. There's our crop hoodie for the ladies there. I don't think that I would look very good in a crop hoodie. It would be very hairy underneath. Don't
sell yourself short, man.
They only come up to size medium, which would probably be a better idea. But I did want to shout out the Jesse, the fun Jesse shirt and the tank top, which we love. It's got the American Tradition logo, again, designed by Big Mad Crab on the front. And then we've got the Grift cover with Jesse doing serenading you with a boombox. So, and those are available, by the way, in different colors. So you can get in blue, in dark gray, and in light gray, as well as in red, which really pops. And that's the back. And I believe you can get it in black as well, which I really like the look of the black. So check that out. Again, all sizes, extra small up through 2XL. Guys and ladies, I know everybody wants to order one. Misty said t-shirt. I know Misty's already probably ordered one if I know Misty, because she's the best. So Colin, Care Bear, everybody's here in chat. Nice.
Oh, that black one. Look at that. Oh, God.
Big Mad Crab is here. Yeah, check out the back on the black one. There we go. Now it's zoomed in. Nice. Again, I just love that.
There's all three versions of Jesse. If you notice, front we've got long hair.
Right.
Back we have Cy Oppenheimer, ponytail, no glasses, and man bun John Cusack form. So it's the trifecta.
You cannot go wrong there. Yeah, I love it. All right, so we've got one more spoken word piece, I know, and it's going to be a long one. I might have to use the bathroom in before this. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. I was about to say, I'm wondering if I should run and pee real quick before we
I was thinking, like, when you first told me it was 17 minutes, I was thinking of, like, Inagata Davida and Do You Feel Like We Do, which are, like, the DJ's best friend when they work in the radio station. Everybody knows, like, you need to use the bathroom, you play one of those songs, and you got yourself about 14, 15 minutes. So the minute I heard this, well, first of all, I definitely want to hear this because, of course, none of us have really seen any of the co-op yet. We certainly all want to. So I'll get this all queued up, loaded up, and ready, and we will get fired up and going there because this one's going to be a journey. And
yeah,
you said you were going to set this up, so start setting it up, dude.
So this one, once I started writing, I just kind of kept going, and I've always wanted to do something. I think my longest piece is Town Hall, which is 7 minutes or so, and I got a couple 6.5, but I've never really broken beyond that. And I was like, I'd love to do. Originally, I intended it to have some piano with it. And I still want to do something that essentially is spoken word with just a piano, but the piano part is kind of tailored to the spoken word piece and kind of changes with it and around it, and is very background, but still a part of the flow of the piece. This became too long to do that with. There's no way I could. I'm not Yes. I can't just sit down and cook up 17 minutes worth of a piano piece. I'm not really a piano player. So this is going to be just like this. This will be just straight spoken word. I guess at this point it's a novella. And I really did just kind of go anywhere and everything. Epstein the jet fuel in Hawaii. Yeah, we move around a lot, so I won't dawdle anymore. This is hope everyone's comfortable. If you got a snack, you're gonna need it. So yeah, this is the co-opt. If they can put a face to the movement, they can blacken both its eyes. If they can hold its hand when the photo's planned, they can frame it how they like. If they fashion us an idol, then the limelight floods our sight, and they can pose beside the movement with a cardboard picket line. In a crowd of paper labor dolls with copy-pasted signs, on a safely guarded soundstage of Bezos's design, where the fortunes of 500 CEOs have been divined, there now rise words that curse the movement's limbs for all of time. That for all its strength of labor, it will walk with withered step, and will wave a rusting saber as it heaves a labored breath, as it coughs through all the cancers born of Bezos's request, who'd prefer your starving neighbors locked in civil war for crumbs he left. But soon your little cache of crumbs will mark your slums for violent theft, from those who act directly on behalf of those with insufficient limb to lift their hoarders' heft. See landlords order mortars sworn to render borders torsos cleft. Now tune that down a quarter step. Ego, soul, and organ death. Any month that ends in embers, rot through every crop has crept. Nothing fit to eat, at least there's lots of JP Morgan reps. I remember when we lived on empty promises through every winter. Now the grapes of wrath are plump, and they are harvested directly out of Martha's vineyard, where the soil's awfully rich, and all the fertilizer's even richer. My palette's not chromatically balanced. It's a cavalcade of crimson, and it paints a pulsing picture. It is gritty, and it's ugly. It is viscerally stunning, and it ain't fit for consumption like the water in your cistern. Go and ring your congressman, and tell that pig it's his turn. Poverty awaits, and there's a $7 wage for him to sit and watch his mansion full of shit burn. Although he won't be paid directly, he will soon receive an email that's supposed to have a link, but when it finally shows, it's empty. So he'll have to call support for confirmation that it's sent right, and then he'll get a shortcut to a poorly managed website, or he'll submit a claim that must be notarized in person, all to finally be denied because he made too much the prior year to qualify for reimbursement. And now he knows the bitter taste of just a single day that all our retail workers face. He knows the kind of day our teachers have. The kind of day the janitors and lab technicians share with all the nursing staff. The kind of daily struggle that's a constant state of fear for all the working class, the white noise in their heads that's born of stress and turned to bursting glass. The constant thought the other shoe's about to drop the size of half a city block that wouldn't stop for you. You're just a worm to smash. You're just another massacre they'll call a clash. You're just a frozen passenger before the crash. You're just another Afghan holding frozen cash. Assets all immobilized by Joseph Biden, king of ice, the self-professed iconoclast. Hosting dinner parties for his parasitic donors with some Donner Party snacks. Nothing short of hearty if you've hard enough, or lack thereof, to call it that. But who'd have thought the meaning of the average person's life was to work and sweat and die to keep the Blackstone Holdings wallet fat? Or even worse, that some are turned to chum to serve as power bars for bureaucrats. Psychopomp and circumstance. Every time you sign your rights away, you'll earn rewards, and at 100,000 points, you can redeem them for your purpose back. And it's none the worse for wear except a heavy coat of surface cracks, courtesy of those who chose the path that dips its toes into the Jeffrey Epstein virgin bath. Courtesy of Congress and the Persian Gulf expansion pack. All our rations held for ransom, kept alive on honeyed words that slowed down all our actions till we're helpless when the ants attack. Stripped to little ribbons and then scattered to the winds like the million little secrets the oppressor's shadow hand redacts. The million lives it stamped out in Iraq until its hands were black. Machinations sacrosanct and cancerous and flavor-packed. We've got just the black site for your whistleblower's Baker Act. Somewhere in the weeds beyond the pines, somewhere oddly Google somehow knows just how to find. It's right there in the file they've compiled all this time with the 7 trillion thoughts that ever came across your mind. And everything that ever turned you on or made you cry, your truest, deepest fear and all the shame you sought to hide, the thoughts you dare not speak aloud lest they be weaponized, have been loaded in the chamber and they're aimed between your eyes. Meanwhile, in your cell at home, they'll confiscate your blinds.
They'll say you've waived your privacy. They'll show you where you signed. Now you don't control your thermostat. It's locked at 85, and you can't refuse the dermal graft that logs you into prime. You're just another wretch they'll come and fetch from out the vermin camp to mop some bloody floors and give a couple boots an oral shine. Oiled roots that move and writhe beneath a red-lined human tide, whose viscous sheen and toxic slime exists somewhere between a kind of Diet Coke and turpentine. The last of us are first in line. The curtain's up. We're streaming live with censored scripts and sponsored rights, subject to changing overnight on Pepsi's whim or Pfizer's spite or Lockheed Martin's bomb supply or any time we need to breed some fear to get the stocks to rise. For those who need some distance wedged between their public image and the list of those who have visited the global child concubine. A client list that shall remain nameless. A client list at least a dozen pages of honey-potted politicians ripened for the knife twist. Once you're dead, it's safe to say you don't present a flight risk. Once your lips are sealed for good, there's zero chance you might slip and spill the beans about your recent string of overnight trips, dropped from heights you can't achieve without a little nitrous, dropped beneath the roots of truth, tenuous and fibrous. The currency of youth would seem a tier above the Midas. Christ, I gagged a little as I wrote The Currency of Youth. I've yet to find the music that hath charm enough to soothe. My eyes are open wide, and I'm at terms with what I view until I shut my eyes at night and see it too. Phantom limbs of reminiscence, twinging like a sickened witness twisted in the spinal cringe, the traumatized revisit every minute, every statement picked to shreds before it's finished, all their dignity diminished, all their liberties relinquished, all your furnaces extinguished. All your means of warmth are flickering off into the distance. All the ways you know to make a living growing listless. All your savings spilled to fill a chalice meant for Pfizer, and they'll drink its vibrant ichor like they'll down a round of blood from out the last Sumatran tiger. Light a nice cigar for every man they left to die awaiting trial up in Rikers. Do a line of blow for every drug offender turned to lifer. And do another line for every hybrid judge and agent of the instrumental prison profit system that they've hired. They'll wear your movement like a mech they get to pilot, yelling hot labor summer through a microphone inside it. A microphone? A microphone inside it. So all our eyes were elsewhere when the parties both collided and they formed a wave of fascism that somehow dwarfed their sum provided. A danger greater than its parts combined. A danger made the greater when the honest source is buried, but the narrative is wearing platinum labels saying trusted source that cover up its warning signs. If you'd have told me all of this at 40 Sunday mornings, I would like to think I'd meet it without disbelief, but really might have struggled just to reckon with it, grappled just to ratify, and retched a little bit to glimpse the bigots that we've gratified. Just hit 1,400 words and kid, I'm barely satisfied. I've hardly started carving bars from off this chunk of malachite I found and claimed and vandalized. The rest is better left to settle one-on-one, just Gates and I. I'll desecrate his tesseract, I'll deconstruct his great design, and build upon the very spot on which it stood to touch the skies a statue in his image, wrapped in tapestry of tannerite, so Bill would get to see himself immortalized, then blown to bits in record time. Blown to scraps of bronze that he can touch and hold and recognize. Face to face and frozen side by side, immobile Gemini. This must be that self-reflection people had suggested that instinctively had always felt to you like being patronized. 'Cause if we talk, I'm talking down. If I speak, it's at my feet like you were 6 beneath the ground. I'll address you where you ought to be and not where you stand now. My gaze won't meet your eyes, much less your crown. My praise is not to bathe in, it's to drown. I bet you didn't know that you could overload an ego to the point of blacking out. And that's what it's about. If you can kill a man with kindness, you can smother him with clout. Reverse his engineering at the hands of hungry crowds. He who bought up all the farmland and is casing now the clouds. Police will be the farm hands paid to put us out to pastures that are shades of gray and brown. I can hear those bastards fast approaching, screaming fills the town. An occupying army of abuser fascist clowns and some lachrymose millennials intent to vote them out. I laugh for those and pity those who vote with zero doubt, whose destinies as living ghosts they're all embracing bowed. Now the cops are inching closer and they snuff out every sound, and all I had to do was shut my mouth. I'll let you guess the tragic end result of Jett, who tried his best but ultimately failed attempts to hold his tongue. who couldn't find the will existing anywhere within him to begin to douse the fire rising up inside his lungs, born of watching ignorant and little educated shits press impressionable lips to boots that just inside a month or two will kick them from the bottom rung. But home is anywhere you lay your head once the oppressor's hung. Soon we'll cleanse our memories of the songs that the oppressor sung, and one by one the words will turn to dirt that cannot hurt you, cannot infiltrate your movement, can't impress upon your sons, can't convince your daughters they have no power of their own, no agency beyond the task of keeping up a home. When the last of all the lobbyists is laid beneath the loam, there will be no profit sown in fields of bone. We will only reap the sleep and stolen wages that were owed, and commence the great unpaving of your quarter-mile driveways, terraforming tarmacs and industrial roads. Paranormal contracts dissipate to mist and disappear amidst the gloam. Disconnect the phone. Fist connects to stone. Somewhere in the thicket hums to life the buzz of crickets into one combining drone. But narrow down your vision and you'll see that every cricket is in fact a tiny drone, coming to inform you that you must proceed directly to your designated zone or you'll be tased until you're prone, till you're pissing blood and whispering to no one in particular, just all of the particulates that occupy the air. The only occupants you share this giant coffin with. At least you win the arguments because they're too busy hogging all your oxygen to care. Hell, you're hardly cognizant. There's really nothing there. There's nothing close to conscious in your stare. Your eyes look like you're off in old Oahu, where you don't have any problems, where you haven't given thought to all the aquifers below you full of fuel enough to launch you back to when you eyed Hawaii and Hawaiians told you not to. A little like the Mayans, humankind will leave a lot to deconstruct from what we kept behind to represent our legacy. Less the stoic temples, less the gods resembled, less the carven lion standing watch above a vine-entangled mezzanine. More the arid soil, more the sea of oil, more the mark we leave behind is best exemplified by finding out Lake Mead is slightly caffeinated methamphetamine. Warped and shifted, torn and twisted, history revisited, the storm that buried Kennedy, swept the streets of Medellin, stirs the strongest synchronized synthetic sleeper cell emotion center mound at Wrigley Field and harnesses the energy. We call that conditioning. They call it serenity. Those who crave obedience will swear they aren't your enemy, but live to see us orchestrated, moving like a centipede, full consent, submissive cadence, terms accepted, didn't peak. Needs neglected, couldn't speak. Speech affected, only leaded fruit to eat, only fracking gruel to drink. 2 for 1 on 40 weight at ExxonMobil Smoothie King. I tried to do the movie thing. I walked away and flicked the match, but never heard the boom to match just boomer waves of Schumercrats. But humor's futile self-defense against such brutal facts that some will never hear the words before they see the acts, who have never heard protect and serve and check behind their backs, and who trust in politicians kept alive on purely Duracells and Duramax. A little dash of ritual, a jug of pharma cocktail, a little splash of Burning Man in nursing class. So let this be the call that stirs the hearts of the emerging class that churns through the recession's dirt to rise reborn in Wall Street's ash. We must shake off the pedagogues and Pentecost the plutocrats, and there is no salvation without doing that. Now, in the name of clarity, the Pentecost that I invoke is just the part with flaming tongues and not the hope of Holy Host. It's mostly for the imagery of all these bloated, greedy folks who break our backs and snake our taxes treated like a weenie roast. And I'd take any bet that if we let our captors cook, you wouldn't see a bunch of struggling single parents show with worried looks like, someone help, we needed those. If we don't have the plutocrats, then who will raise the interest on our student loans? If we don't have the plutocrats, then who will cut the staff to pay for bonuses for senior homes? Without our noble plutocrats, then who would gut the budgets for anything providing education to the public? Who would neuter innovation that could benefit the nation because it wouldn't turn a profit, so it wasn't worth discussing? Without our precious plutocrats, then who'll ensure that poverty took hold of our enlightenment and never let us see the sun or ever smell that rain was coming? No one's gonna stop, and if they did, they'd say the warmth is nice, or God, the flames are stunning. Because who would miss or pity all those monuments to nothing? Those who've witnessed cities turned to husks, the wealthy drained with but a touch to pave the way for a development that's easy money, that never seems to trickle down to someone hungry, or anyone beyond their inner circle jerk of golfing buddies. And I'm not here for slinging mud. It's what you do. It's what you love. You're fucking pigs. I do not give a shit if you're a little muddy. I need to see you destitute and see you struggling. Desperate just to feed yourself a scrap of something. Desperate to the point you take a bite of crow and know a taste that's truly humbling. We only can begin to tear the old foundation down once we confess that yes, it's crumbling, and we all know it's crumbling. We can see collapse as plain as day on every corner, neath a veil of thin decorum, like a blueprint overlaid made by the Economic Forum. The plans they've drawn and quartered, the graves they're counting early, and the million more backordered. I would rather take a stand than live and die by their accordance. I would rather see the forest once than corpses formed of brick and mortar. And if the band you're in starts playing censored tunes, then I'll see you on the dark side of the border. And that's the co-opt.
And that's a shout out to Roger Waters at the end there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll see you on the dark side of the border. Sorry, I had to finish the line, you know.
Yeah, like, right? You hear it, it's implied.
Yeah, you can't not. So, damn, man. Okay. So many things to unpack there.
Good Lord, right?
I don't even know where to start, but everyone just, you're dropping diss lines, and everyone's like, damn, look at that. Look at that. Everyone, yeah, wow. John Kemper, thank you for hanging with us. I know it's getting late Central Time. Cynic, everybody's chilling. It's great. Lake Mead, also decomposed bodies. Yes, There are decomposed bodies. And now today we saw that Nazi ships are actually being showing up in German waters, and that's Nazis being revealed in Germany and NATO, and it's a lot of fun happening there. No, who would have figured
Nazis
that?
in NATO.
No.
I almost decided this wasn't going to be a title piece. That it was going to be called Persian Gulf Expansion Pack, because I love that.
I like that too. That sounds like it belongs right in Call of Duty 4, right? Like one of those. It's the Persian Gulf Expansion Pack, right? So you said that you were going to play a few doo-wop tunes, which that's awesome. I don't know how you do doo-wop by yourself.
Well, I guess I don't do doo-wop by myself, but 50s tunes.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, we got to have the harmony in order to make it doo-wop, right? That's kind of requirement. Now, I don't have lyric sheets, so on this one you're just gonna have to wing it. You didn't send me those.
Fun fact. There's a moment in the co-opt. I was kind of at a pause and trying to think of what to do next, and I was like, I wonder what my word count's at already, and I was really close to 1,400, and it turns out on the line just hit 1,400 words, and kid, I'm barely satisfied. The word words is the 1,400 mark. It's like it happened right on there. So that was pretty dope. That was serendipitous.
That's great. That is great stuff. So yeah, I definitely want to hear some doo-wop tunes. And you're gonna have the guitar for that, or you're just going?
Well, yeah,
nice.
This is off of the Geiger Age. This whole thing. I'm gonna what time is it?
11:15.
I can bang through this whole thing in 15 minutes.
Nice.
A guitar pick would help.
So already tonight we have heard the spoken word pieces What Serves as Vanguard. Then we heard Tyrant Tartare. And then he went through Union Drip. And then La Mort Boheme. And finally the co-opt. So talking about Bohemian Grove, and then the co-op just did go into all kinds of different things. That could almost be like 4 songs. It almost reminds me like a scenes from an Italian restaurant type of thing, a compilation of different thoughts and ideas that kind of come together to make this symphony or whatever you want to call it.
If I wasn't in such a hurry to actually put it out, I would like make it an actual song, and then it'd be one of those things that like had different movements, and I would get to use Roman numerals.
but that's for another project, I guess.
Oh, that's your 2112 prog rock version, right?
Well, when I said at the end of La Mort Boheme that it's just, you know, dudes doing dude ceremonies, E. Heller said doing dude ceremonies would be a great album title, and I think it'd be a great name for a prog project, doing dude ceremonies. I mean, that's that's the implication. If you didn't speak English and you looked at a Rush album cover, you'd be like, oh, they're just doing dude ceremonies, you know? Getty Jett. I love it.
Getty
Okay.
Jett.
Yeah, no Getty. No pick, but hey, muddled through.
All right.
So we're gonna play this fucker front to back. This is off my my little 50s doo-wop side project, the Geiger Age. This is called A Stroll Through the Ruins.
Let's take a walk, provided radiation's low and the weather's good. We'll take a stroll through where there used to be a neighborhood. I host a clinic called the finer points of settlerhood. Wish I could say it brings a crowd. Oh, baby doll, doomsday just about as well as you said it would. And God, I tried to love the bomb and I never could. There's such a heavy bomb and the humid air, rotted wood. Wish I could hear the smoke and show you cloud. The meek will get the earth, though the earth will be long dead. The meek will gladly take what we can get. And when we meet the earth, if there's no earth to be found, well, we'll just join the poison in the ground. No, no, the poison in the ground, the poison in the ground, oh, the poison in the ground, oh, the poison in the ground, oh.
All right, our next one. Indy still with us? You just muted?
Yeah, I'm muted. You said you were going straight through, so I was just letting you go.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. All right. So this next piece is about people working in a mine and missing music more than anything else. This is called Modern Style. Actually, let's move that up a touch. Let's go right there.
Where's that new modern style? Where's that new beat? They promised something wild, then gassed us in our sleep. We woke up underground and forced to work the mines, and only have these tired songs to last us for all time. We had a stack of wax and some of it was fine, and a player in the break room where we went to flush our eyes. It lasted all of 7 months, and when it finally died, the only source of music was your dusty, empty mind. And I said, oh my God, I don't miss the light. Oh my God, I don't miss the sunshine, my sweet God. But I miss all the songs that used to make me feel alive. Some of us disappeared down deeper in the mine. One came back, I guess the rest we're just not meant to find. We stopped him screaming and we held him as he cried. I saw what's out the hatch and we're all better off inside. And I said, oh my God, I don't miss the light. Oh my God, I don't miss the sunshine, my sweet God. But I miss all the songs that used to make me feel alive. Oh my God, I don't miss the light. No, I never miss the sunshine, my sweet God. But I miss all the songs that used to make me feel alive. That's modern style. It's weird to do that acoustic, but that's super fun. I've never tried that acoustic before.
That slapped. I like that one.
My first song that ever starts with a dip dip dip, but not my last.
Nice.
So this one, I really leaned hard into the nuclear aspect of it. This is a song about someone who was not equipped to look out for themselves in the world they found themselves in, and found someone to look after them, and she turns out to be more affected by the radiation than he thought. This is a bizarre little love song that, again, I've also never I've played a couple of these songs on a few streams in the past a while ago, but I've never had an opportunity to play that last one or this one acoustic. So this is called Margo. La da 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 da, la da da da, la da Well, my neck was a little straighter, 7 years without a screen, wandering the wastes in case I'd end up someplace green. I'd been pushing my luck up like daisies, chasing my fate, crawling through the aqueducts or cutting through the gates. Now Margo showed herself as though an angel from above. She offered me a hand on which she wore a heavy glove. And all of my survival skills I picked up at her side. For bless her heart, she kept me like a helpless child bride. But when we reached the checkpoint, they asked to show her palms. She opened up a guard and she was gone. 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 So I stumbled through the sand to try and see her face again. I tracked her town to town along a trail of broken men. When I found her with a body, she had killed a man for gloves. She handed me some water and I drank it down like drugs. But when we reached the platform and they asked to scan her hands, she tore the guard to shreds and she ran. She ran. Well, I caught up with her quickly, but I'm stuck with what I saw. The blood that ran across the sand was pooling off her claws. She didn't know I had seen her hands, and I won't leave my love. So I let her keep her secrets, and I keep her stocked with gloves. My huntress stalks these sheep that walk beneath the starless skies. My Margo has the kind of touch that flays a man alive.
I like that little one.
Okay, and this is definitely the most, like, I don't know, just white bread kind of 50s of the bunch that I love this. This is called Back the Other Way.
She said it was fine back the other way. I wish I could have stayed behind, but maybe it was time for our luck to change, and I might have to wait a while. She said, travel is difficult, you can't go home, and trust me, you don't really want to go. But meantime, I had the feeling I'd have sold my soul just for one more minute there alone. To think I'd walk out the door and see the grass still grows, walk into the stream and feel the flow. But somehow I had the feeling I just can't go home. La 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 la. She said it was fine back the other way. I wish I could have stayed behind, but maybe it was time for our luck to change, and I might have to wait a while. She said, travel is difficult, you can't go home, and trust me, you don't really want to go. But meantime, I had the feeling I'd have sold my soul just for one more minute there alone. To think I'd walk out the door and see the grass still grows, walk into the stream and feel the flow. But somehow I had the feeling I just can't go home. La 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 la. I had the feeling I just can't go home. La 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 la. I had the feeling I just can't go home.
We just got like a mini album concert front to back. That was the Geiger Age, beginning to end.
There's one more.
Oh, we got one more. Okay,
one more.
Even better.
Which I feel like you've heard this song before. If not, then I apologize. Oh shit.
Right, we're up to 4. Right, this is the 5th.
All right, this is the least doo-woppy. Originally, this was gonna be a little bit more kind of modern styles vibe, but this, when I first thought of this, doing this a little bit more rockabilly Sturgill Simpson, I couldn't say no to that. So this is the tiger track, the title track, the Geiger Age. There we go.
It's the Tiger Diddle Miger Steiger track. Yep, the Geiger Age.
Till it was gone, locked out by the smog, and if the smog ain't moving on, that sun is gone. My eyes have seen the glories of industrial disease. My mama raised me telling tales about the trees, cause they were gone. If all my mama knew, the trees gone. They're rusted inside out, and there's no soil fit to sprout. Those trees are gone. She had an optimistic streak, or maybe she was scared. But bless her soul, my mama said the ocean would be spared, and now it's gone. By the time I reached the shore, it all was gone. Now I'm glad she didn't live to see the day that she was wrong. 'Cause when I reached the ocean, it was gone, gone, gone. And there you have it, folks.
I am stunned into silence, and that is hard to do to Indy, apparently. Because I got a lot to say, but damn, man. Again, it takes music to tame the beast, I guess. Because I don't get to do music shows, and again, thank goodness for the last time when you were doing those covers. I mean, again, I still have all those things queued up, and the view count's got to be going sky high on those just from us alone listening to them. But this was a lot of fun tonight.
Really
I know my wife is gonna love A Stroll Through the Ruins. When I play that verse, she'll be like, oh my god, that was awesome.
Dude, you gotta play the actual album version, because I'm full on barbershop quartetting it with myself on that one.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's super fun. Like, yeah, it's a very I love doing these acoustic I love 50s, that kind of style, and of course some of those are a little more 40s, like Margo is a lot more 40s, especially the album version. But yeah, I somewhere on my projects list is I have a few things written for kind of a second Geiger Age thing, because I can't get enough of some of those themes and song vibes, and yeah, it's fun to do a little bit of a concept thing and take a step away from politics, like completely, but just in little increments. So
I was looking, Steve said something about playing with a cello and something else.
Oh yeah, no, he was saying that about modern style with ukulele, which I can absolutely see.
Yeah, here you go, on ukulele with cello doing whole notes behind it. Yeah, I could totally hear that. Charlie saying that last piece, he'd actually play at work and blast it, and his MAGA coworker loves it, which is awesome. Jesse is doing the Lord's work, crossing lines. Mona said that she played Powerless for her kids at school, for her students, and they were digging it. And
oh wow!
So yeah, it's great stuff.
Oh man, I needed this tonight. I know I say that all the time, but I always do. Yeah, this is always the best. And thank you everyone for hanging out tonight. Like,
yeah, it's a blast. Again, catharsis for sure. Right. We heal with music, and we'll be back here in a couple of weeks again. Let's support our brother Angel. Again, everybody's kind of going through what we know right now. Angel had a nephew have some seizures, and he was pretty public about that on Twitter. And his girlfriend ended up in the hospital. It was like everyone just seemed to be having some stuff the last couple of weeks. Yep. So if anybody's got some, got a couple of bucks to spare, again, just if you're not following already, go and follow and give them a like and shout them out and say, hey, we're thinking about you, and INN family type of stuff, man. I'll tell you, I'll tell you a little funny story on the way out. I was sitting there with Jesse, and I think his son might have even been sitting in the hospital when this happened, and I was taking my kids. My daughters are performing in a show, and they're performing a song called Home, and that's
oh yeah,
right. And I'm sitting and listening to this, and I'm thinking about the Warren stream, and thinking about INN and the family stuff, and all of a sudden I just started to like break down. Like I had my son sitting in my lap, and I'm listening to the word, and it just killed me. And I'm like, I'm texting Jesse, like, damn you, how do you do this to me with music, even when you're not here? Like, damn it wasn't even your song.
I did a really good job the whole time my son was in the hospital. I mean, like, obviously I'm if I have an emotion, you can see it. So when I realized we're like having to take him to the ER, I tried to just like, really just focus on how great he was doing, because he did great. He loved the hospital, thank fuck. But I just totally lost my train of thought there.
Not losing it in the hospital with Fox.
Oh, thank you. When you sent me that, I was like, oh, fucking don't. It was, you were talking about, you were breaking down and all the reasons why. I was really doing my best, and I held strong the whole 48 hours essentially that he stayed in the hospital. But it was rough. And it wasn't until we got done and then he's back to clean bill of health and everything's good. And I stayed home with him for one extra day. Then I go back to work and I'm driving around on my forklift and I was like, I'm gonna listen to some music. And for some reason I'm like, oh, you know what? Brandi Carlile's first or 2007, the story, it was a fucking killer record. I was like, I haven't listened to that in forever. I'm gonna listen to some Brandi Carlile this morning. And I'm 2 songs in and I'm just fucking gutted like a fish, just driving around doing my thing. And my boss comes by, he's like, are you all right? I was like, yeah, it's just Brandi Carlile. It's just a whole lot of stuff going on.
Just parent shit. I can't explain. So one more time before we go, I want to put up the link and the Solidarity Fund that's happening for Matt Luttrell over at ALU Kentucky. He was retaliated against after organizing at the Campbellsville warehouse. And if you can throw a couple of bucks. I see Anthony Malecki, bless you, man, for going over there and helping him out. This is, again, 509A2 charity, and it is to reflect a new branch of ALU. And, again, this is going to go help Matt with expenses and Solidarity Fund for all the workers that are retaliated against, or if they decide to ever go on strike, and that's where all of this money is going to go towards. So, again, I just want to, put workers first always, and that's where our mindset is always focused on the workers. But Matt was here. He popped in chat tonight. Thank you so much for that, Matt, and I appreciate all that you're doing to try to organize, unionize, and fight the system. And we need to stand by you as well. So everybody take care of them. So Consider It a Win is going to be on this next spoken word album. We do have Consider It a Win, by the way, recorded on INN. So you can look that up. And I think it was episode 2 or episode 3 originally that you recorded that.
Yeah, I think so.
And man, was that powerful. I was just listening to that the other day.
Yeah.
But I also want to shout out happy birthday to Oz over at Roar Media. Today's his birthday, so everybody go wish Oz a happy birthday. And again,
Gamer just had one yesterday.
Yes, Gamer and Ganja for life.
Happy belated.
Happy birthday there. And Uncle Warren was here. Steve, Slow News Day. Check out AM Wake Up, rockfin.com/AM Wake Up. The baddest damn morning show in the world. And actually, Jesse was on there about a week and a half ago, on the interwebs, as he likes to say. Steve, I've actually got some Whitney Webb clips, so you and I need to connect. My buddy cut some clips from the Whitney show, and I don't know if you want me to publish them, and I'll just tag you in them, or if you want to put them up on the AM and Wake Up channels, or how we want to do it. I'll coordinate with you or with Pasta on that. But
dude, she's a machine. She's so amazing.
My God. Oh, she's the queen. I mean, the encyclopedia, the dot connector. I can't gush enough about that woman. And I know Steve does. Tomorrow she's going to be on Convo Couch, 3 p.m. Eastern, by the way. So everybody check out Convo. But Steve always pulls in the guests for 10 a.m. It is definitely the best morning show. It's the only lefty morning show there is, so it definitely would be the best one. That's not why. It's because he's got kick-ass guests and it's fun. It's totally unscripted, and he and Pasta love to bust on each other, and that's a lot of fun just to see their dynamic. So again,
he and Pasta love to bust on each other.
Oh, they do, dude. Come on. Well, Steve likes to bust on Pasta more but I just broke Jesse.
I'm 12, so that's funny to me.
I just broke Jesse.
You know what they do behind closed doors is their own business, Indy. This is 2022.
Hey, man.
Passing judgment on anybody.
I don't know what's going on in that place. By the way, there was a Reefer After Dark a couple of weeks ago that had Steve and I, and then Pasta popped in.
Makes me feel good.
Well, Pasta. Pasta pops in the last 5 minutes, and I believe he takes 3 bong hits and a vape, and he's wearing this like golf hat that has the hair sticking out the top, the visor. Oh, it was great. You've got to go back and catch the last 10 minutes of that Reefer After Dark with Steve. It was priceless. Actually, I think that was the one that you were going to join us for, and then Fox was in the hospital. But but definitely go back.
That was very last minute.
Oh my God, that was a great hour and a half, 2 hours of comedy and entertainment and hilarity and getting silly. And we like to do that here at INN. We got some serious stuff. INN News will be tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Definitely check that out. And I don't even know what else is going on. I'm guessing there'll be a Reefer After Dark on Friday night. There'll be nothing Thursday night. And then Sunday night, we've got How Do We Miss That? And How Do We Miss That Sunday night is our 1-year show. A year ago this Sunday, we first went live and did some couple of stories, and there wasn't even boats smashing into other boats. I mean, Reef came up with that the week after to do some fun stuff in addition to the stories. But yeah, man, it's episode 48 out of 52 weeks, and real proud of How Do We Miss That as a show and getting to where it has been, and actually being a show. It took 3 weeks before we even figure out like what to call the thing. Like, it was just, we're going live to do stories, you know. It wasn't intended to be a show, but it's a lot of fun, and I love doing it. And we try to talk about some of the things like what's happening at Amazon Labor, Starbucks Union, Julian Assange stories from angles that people aren't covering, and to shout out and spotlight writers and journalists out there that don't get the light that they should, like Whitney Webb, like Eva Bartlett. Okay, we try to cover them all the best writers. Jordan Schachtel from the Dossier also, and we're gonna be doing some more stuff with some of these folks in the future, hopefully. So stay tuned for some of that. And okay, so good. Matt just said that they posted the Solidarity Fund, but this fund directly supports him so that he can pay his bills and have some peace of mind, continue to organize. And we certainly, again, we stand in solidarity with Matt 100%. And we'll do all we can to amplify his story and the story of all the Amazon workers that are being retaliated against, the illegal union busting that's happening all over the country, and we want to stop that from happening. We want to have workers, just fair pay and fair work and just working conditions for what they're doing, because those are the frontline workers now, our essential workers, as we called them 2.5 years ago, and seem to forget that. So I'm terrible at
don't get me started
signing off. I'm terrible at signing off, so I'm just gonna say good night for now, and to question everyone's motivations, everyone. And
I
don't know.
Stay safe. Don't do drugs unless you're bored.
I like that. Night, everybody.